Yeah. So I think I kind of worked with Suresh and Urvi, and we decided that the right time for doing a topic like this is getting back to basics, re-engineering the brand for a COVID world. Why getting back to basics? As Urvi said, I have over 20 years of experience. One thing I have learned is that the basics do not change. I mean, our customer, our environment is constantly evolving, but the basics do not change. And perhaps this is a great time to kind of step back, look at our brands, and rework on them. Before I begin, I want to share something which I think is very prophetic, where basically Peter Thiel, if all of you know who he is, he's written this wonderful book called 0 to 1, which I highly recommend for everybody who hasn't read. And it really talks about how companies who do not invest in the future and do not create new things are bound to fail, however large they may be today, however large their profits are. And I think this is the right time for us to actually see what this means. It is ringing true in the COVID times that however large you have been, today you need to kind of redo something else. Your size doesn't matter, your earlier thinking doesn't matter. And that's exactly what we are talking about. How do you reinvent, re-engineer, and rebuild? It's really the mantra for the new normal. I think it's becoming my catchphrase for those of you who follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I'm sorry you'll have to hear it quite a few times today too. Suresh, just one quick clarification. Are we taking Q&As later, or do I take them as I go along?
No, you can continue. If something comes, they will raise their hand, then we can give them opportunity to ask you. Otherwise, in the end, we can take a Q&A.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So what am I basically going to cover over here is, in the last 2 months, what is my observation of how brands have actually, worked in this COVID world. We've all been seeing a lot of news articles. We've been seeing a lot of advertising, social media communication. I personally have attended many retail and shopping center webinars, and how people and how dynamic the situation is and how people are responding to it. I worked with a client very closely from, early May on a survive and revive strategy for the brand to kind of, really move ahead and, reinvent itself. So we are going to share the short learnings, but the great growth story we had in that brand, and also how do you really navigate COVID consumer. There's no magic formula. I'm going to share tips. I'm going to share areas which you need to look at and see how you are going to reinvent your brand and rethink to really do a new roadmap to the future. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. What's the current business environment? Don't wish to sound negative, but the reality is that some predictions are saying 75%, 70% of the businesses, especially SMEs, may not reopen or survive the pandemic. So it's not just about human survival, it's also about the economic survival that we are discussing today. RAI, which has been very active on understanding customers, and their customer sentiment survey actually showed that 37% of those surveyed, that was a majority of the respondents, are not really looking forward to shopping post-lockdown. Now, if you're a brick and mortar retailer, you don't want to hear this. 33% are who are looking forward to. The rest are still undecided how they want to respond to this environment. Also, of those surveyed, 62% are saying that they are looking at visiting the store in the next 3 months. We know that there has been an unlock in some areas, especially, certain markets. Malls have only opened about a week back. And we know how slow and steady the footfall growth there is. So yes, there is going to be a 2 or 3 months waiting time. And we have to kind of, grin and bear and survive these 2-3 months if we want to kind of be in business for the 4th month too. What's happening also is people are planning to spend lesser than before, and I will cover that shortly. Giants like Zara, yesterday I think Twitter and LinkedIn was in a storm with it talking of closing about 1,200 of its 6,000 stores. So you're really talking of 20% of the stores globally going to be shut. And there are also articles which show how Zara perhaps was late to digitize, and today their channel is getting more important. E-commerce channel. So how are they kind of quickly revamping that to really work on it? And those are, I think, learnings for all of us, that how do we quickly adapt, because agility will play a big role in surviving the economic pandemic. The customer has changed. Today, safety has become a big format. Customers are particular how you serve them, how you interact. They don't want salespeople anymore. So that's a big change for the Indian consumer who loved being pampered. Even offline, they are looking at brands they can trust. And if you are a strong brand right now, this is the best time to capitalize on it. And if not, your brand has to change towards a direction offering trust and care. They have digitized like never before. All of us individually also know how our digital consumption has grown. Web browsing has increased, TV has increased, social media engagement has increased. Searches for home delivery, what's near me, have grown by almost 150%. So consumers are kind of, actively looking for more stuff online. And across the globe, downloading and spending has increased even on apps. In fact, US and Europe, which has a higher percentage of, elderly population, are seeing those customers come in first time to online stores and e-stores for, their growth. So that is exactly
Is she frozen or is it only me? Can't hear her.
I think her network got some issue. Once. Urvi, can you quickly speak to her and back to us?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I think you network. Her net has some issue for the moment. She's just relogging, just like 2 minutes.
Yeah, great. A lot of network issues these days. Yeah, Seema, yes. Jermina is in. I think she's back. We have a.
really sorry for this.
Jermina, I think your place.
Yes, Bangalore, and it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see me now? Can you see the screen now? More
We
importantly.
can. Yeah, make it full screen.
Yeah.
The PPT full screen kar do.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we were just talking about how the customer has digitized, and one of the key things is that they are kind of constantly more online, and this is a chance for you to digitize your customer interaction. If you have been looking at digital, you need to look at it faster. Many of us have seen this meme on our WhatsApp groups and LinkedIn about how the biggest reason for digitization has turned out to be COVID, and it's really true for us. It's not just the customer's environment, it's even their emotional needs. Brands, they are looking at brands which are, caring for them at this point, and also brands who are doing a lot for the society. So for example, in the initial days, when we were looking at more liquid soap and sanitizers, when Unilever kind of actively slashed prices, it got a lot of positive rub off. The brand even kind of upped in terms of share price. Customers are now actively saying we want to switch to brands which are, supporting customers and helping us at this time. New brands are being tried like never before. If you need a brand of atta, you are going to take an atta. So if your favorite brand is not there, you are willing to change now. And more importantly, they are also willing to kind of continue with the loyalty. So a lot of us have experienced, at least down south, how our kirana stores have actually delivered better than the e-commerce stores in the early days when supply chains were badly hit. And now they have become kind of our regular go-to points because they have helped us when we haven't there. So brands have to connect emotionally, brands have to reach customers emotionally, and care and empathy are something that you need to do for looking at the brand. Please do not use fear as an emotion, because already your audience is kind of scarred by a lot of things happening around them which they are still trying to grasp. So I would strongly recommend not using fear as a method of getting customers back. Yeah. Purchasing power is going to be lower whether we like it or not. The job losses are real, salary cuts are real, future is uncertain. The customer is trading down. So how do you reinvent your product by, offering more or giving more value, or, removing the frills and sticking to a basic, and hence giving the customer at an affordable price point is going to become extremely important in the COVID and post-COVID world, because it's going to be a long road to recovery. We all know this financial year, we are talking of negative numbers. So next financial year too, it will be a slow climb. But all is not lost. Many changes are for the better. I mean, there is a whole category of masks opening up, whether it's matching with your shirt or matching with your sari or matching with your salwar. Brands are kind of really capitalizing on that. And yeah, suddenly the boss has become a much more dearer person also for many of us who are working from home and trying to, run the home and the office together. So this was just a bit to lighten your mood. Newer products and services are getting in, so it's while some categories are badly affected, there are other categories which are doing well. Sanitizers to masks, home appliances like vacuum cleaners and dishwashers are growing and, suddenly becoming the key home appliance you want to buy. Digitization of school learning means there is a demand for laptops and mobiles as well as high bandwidth connectivity. So the telecom sector is probably going to do well along with electronics. Cooking at home has now become something of a habit, and there is a bigger focus on healthier meals. So, organic produce, healthier food, alternative methods of cooking and serving, where sales, I mean, brands like Home Stop, etc. are going to start doing better, Home Center and Home Stop. Health and fitness are here to say. People have realized the need for immunity. So whether it's in your food or whether it's in your daily cycle, it's going to stay, and which is good because it's going to have a long-term impact in the healthier customer. So it's not just something that's going to impact this year and next year, but the dividends of good health are going to pay in the long run, and it's a category one needs to look at very differently now. FMCG has seen the best growth in years. We all know Britannia has had its highest biscuit sales. Parle, which was talking of shutting factories, is now looking at adding factories. Unilever stock price is at its ever highest. Britannia stock price is its ever highest. So yes, there are many sectors which are doing well, and let's understand from them what is really helping other than the categories they belong to. Yeah, F&B, because it was in essentials, has managed to survive better than non-F&B and non-essential categories. E-commerce has, of course, got a big boost with this. More and more people have got online for the first time, and a whole new set of customers are buying online, from daily necessities to, their electronics. So let's capitalize on all these trends for our benefit and move ahead. Yeah. Talking about reality, there was a beautiful article a couple of days back on Starbucks, where Starbucks proudly said that in China, where 99% of their stores are open, the growth is only minus 21%. Now, imagine getting into a sales meeting in a regular time and saying your decline has been 21%. Obviously, everybody is not going to leave the room with their heads on. Some heads are going to be chopped. But today, when brands are actually doing minus 50, minus 70, probably zero sales, hence minus 100%, minus 21 is an exceptional performance. And it's something that helps you kind of stay afloat, pay the rent, pay the salaries, and probably have the next month to look forward to. So that's really the change which is happening. But Starbucks has looked at it very differently. Starbucks has typically been positioned as the third place beyond home and office. It's a place where you catch up. It's a place where you spend time by yourself in the Western countries. And that is the change they are making. They are saying if our core was about the third place with coffee being the connection, they are shifting the core to their main coffee. And in developed markets where, a coffee and donut constitutes a working person's breakfast, as we've seen in many Hollywood movies, they are actually taking this coffee and breakfast model and saying we are going to do away with our 2,000 square feet dine-in stores. We are going to probably open 500, 600 square feet, takeaway, grab and go kind of stores, and perhaps even rejig the sizes people need, rejig the offering you have, So is it going to be 2 donuts? Is it going to be a sandwich being added? So they are really looking at that, and they are hoping that that will get 75% of their customers back. People are not now looking at a coffee store, and obviously they can go back to relaunching the coffee shops once people are ready to sit across the table and meet friends who they haven't met for a long time, or spend time reading a book with a nice cup of coffee. But the point is that they are acting fast, and they are really looking at doing these grab and grow in key cities in China as well as US before they roll it out in other international markets. So that's one way of looking at how do you really deal with the current customer. You probably need a twist in reaching these customers without looking. So that's my takeout from Starbucks case. Relook at your business. It needs a twist in reaching your customers and not necessarily losing all of them. Your dwell time at the store will decrease, but your customer is not lost. That's what we are focusing on today. Looking at other categories, product experience. This was something I experienced personally at Body Shop. It was one of the first stores I visited when stores were open, because I had run out of a lot of essential creams and lotions. And I think all of us know that how do beauty products really sell? It's not like you don't know how a cream is, or how a scrub is, or how a perfume smells. But when you go to a store, you have the assistant probably gently massaging a lotion, or spraying a sample on you. You enjoy that entire sensorial experience. It's not a sales gimmick. Now, what happened in my last visit to Body Shop? They come up with these, specials. They have a core category and core fragrances, and they keep specials. So there were some new summer fragrances which I had never seen before, and I wanted to try the body lotion or even smell it. So trials were out of question. More importantly, because obviously you're going to use your nose to smell, they wouldn't even allow me to see the trial pack and sniff the fragrance. Now, to me as a retailer, the first thing that came out is, damn, here goes their top-up sale, here goes their incremental sales, because these gimmicks are what helps you take one more fragrance body lotion, or probably a body wash in the same fragrance with the body lotion. So they are really missing up these top-up sales which add to the basket. So there is a way of redoing it. If I was the Body Shop marketing manager, I would quickly start working on probably 2 or 3 gram samples of fragrances, as well as lotion sachets or cream sachets and face wash sachets, which the customer can use and experience the product and then buy the new fragrance that they want. If you're a nail polish brand, you probably do a shade card like, what you're seeing out here, or maybe you even have peel off stickers which the customer can apply on their nail and see how the color looks before you go, because you don't want everybody touching the trial pack. So it comes down to saying, revisit your customer journey. If the customer wants to try product, which is the new way to try? To say there is no trial, I understand those were early days, but by end of this month, I do hope brands like Body Shop actually come up with various ways to sample, because that is the only way they are going to see growth. So it's the same experience, but see how you can deliver it differently. Don't stop giving the experience is my advice. What if you're a dine-in restaurant? Now, again, in the early days, suddenly the restaurants were shut off. So, you had lesser customers. Of course, there was lesser competition if you were on Swiggy, because I know for a fact that Swiggy probably had 70 to 75% of the earlier set of restaurants only, being on board for delivery in the early days of the lockdown. But family diners were still cautious. It's the bachelors, it's the people who didn't know to cook, it's the people who didn't have grocery at home who were ordering in. The housewife or the husband was willing to cook and do the extra work because you didn't want to, risk meeting outsider, the Swiggy delivery man. So in such a case, if you were a restaurant brand, can you really go beyond being a restaurant brand? Can you keep the customers engaged till they are willing to reorder, till they are willing to, reopen and walk into your store, and also manage to sustain? Can you care for your customers at this time? And I'm very happy to share this very interesting example from an entrepreneur whom I admire a lot, Sagar Daryani of Wow Momos. And what Wow Momos actually did was they launched Wow Essentials. So they were using the same Swiggy, the same Zomato channel, their own delivery guys, but they told the customer, it's okay if you don't want, the momos or the fried rice right now. We will deliver the dal, we'll deliver the chawal, we will deliver the cooking oil you need, but we will deliver and we will make your life easy. To me, Sagar and his team has built a great bond of reliability and trust. And believe me, he is going to reap benefits of it and grow much faster than what his earlier plans were. So while this year may be a negative year, next year and the year after, probably Wow Momos is going to be one brand in the markets where they did Wow Essentials, which is going to ride a lot on the customer's positive brand equity, which they have gained. I hope I'm not going too fast. Yeah. So in simple English, what Sagar and his team have done is they have redeployed the service. They have used the same delivery channel of reaching the customer home, but they have given a slightly different product, a product the customer needs. And I'm sure as customers are ready to, start ordering in, and as and when dine-in opens in the markets they operate, start visiting Wow Momos, because this is a brand that they could trust and which helped them at this time of the pandemic. So do try and build a bond to reap dividends for a long time to come. It's not just about surviving now, but how fast you revive post the pandemic. Yeah. This is something which I have personally worked on. There is a very popular bakery chain in Bangalore. It's basically a gourmet bakery with a cafe dine-in, and the format risked closure because, overnight restaurants were shut and almost 60% of the business was coming in from the cafes. The core product range has been luxury cakes and chocolates, which account for about 50% of the total sales. And because it was a luxury product, it was about experience. Pre-COVID, the focus was on store sales. We did have an e-store, but it wasn't promoted too well. There was a discussion about launching the new e-store, and it was in the pipeline, but it wasn't pushed with the vigor it should have been pushed. The brand also fortunately had a range of complementary, well-priced, regular bakery products, if I may call them, which were mostly used as a filler category. And they contributed less than 10% of overall sales for COVID. So this is exactly where the brand was on probably 25th March 2020. Yeah. Now, what did we do once the lockdown was announced? Okay. The dine-in format you couldn't use. Remember, the delivery for restaurants to be open for delivery was started a bit later. So there was this initial period of April where it looked like you had to close the business, not just close the restaurants. But what the brand did was they had a set of loyal customers. It's a brand which has a very high equity and very high frequency from loyal customers. So they reached out to the loyal customers through an SMS campaign, through a WhatsApp campaign, and they started sending them the menu card of the limited products available for delivery. But remember, luxury cakes and chocolates are indulgence products, and there's only that many birthdays that could have been in April, and that many times you would want to eat a Belgian truffle cake. So what did the brand do? We really looked at saying, what do customers need now? Much like Wow Essentials, we said, the non-core range, which was the premium breads, tea cakes, and muffins, products priced from 75 rupees to 200 rupees, were added to this menu and promoted again to these set of customers. And what did we see? We saw a big jump in the ordering. There was a frequency of ordering as well as growth in bill size. And it really helped us recover. So all this, believe you me, was done very fast. The point I'm making is the agility is important. You need to make quick decisions. So first decision, let's go to WhatsApp ordering, let's go to community ordering, let's reach an apartment complex and get in there. Next was, okay, there are only that many cakes people can have. So how much can you push a cake? You can't push beyond a point. Can we give them the breads? Can we give them the gourmet breads? Can we give them tea cakes, which can be had more often than, your cream cakes? And the brand had really good response. So we analyzed the first 2 weeks of what we call the community orders, and there was a very interesting trend. It wasn't the sandwich breads which were really ruling the roost. It was gourmet breads like sardos, burger buns, pizza bases. And I think it was very obvious because what was trending on Instagram or anywhere else, work from home lunch, hashtag lockdown cooking, hashtag lockdown meals. So which meant that people were now trying to do quick meals with a sourdough bread sandwich or a burger bun or a pizza base sandwich or pizza, 30 minutes pizza if you were able to kind of get a base and put your toppings. And they were doing quick lunches, quick dinners without missing the outside food experience. After a month of all this, we said, okay, now there are limited customers. The only way to continue growing is by increasing the bill size. Yeah. And which is where we led to a new product development of dips and sauces. So today we are saying a guy who buys a pizza base at 50 rupees, can we make his bill size 200 by adding a 150 rupee pizza base sauce, pizza sauce. Can we sell the sourdough with a pesto as a, sandwich base option or a mayo as a sandwich base option? And having done that, we are seeing the basket size increase of these customers. So it was very important to identify, we could keep saying we want new customers. We accepted we will have limited customers. But can these customers' frequency increase? Can their bill size increase? We did that. The best part is today we have this entire new product line which is actively being discussed on how do we start retailing it. It was a product line which was not in the pipeline on 1st March, but as of yesterday, 15th May, when we were redoing our kind of review, we said how do we kind of push this products before. So believe it or not, the lockdown helped us develop what were possibly passive customer wants, which we had not heard, and really work on them and grow them. The chain in April did about 60% of its pre-COVID time. In May, it did even much better. Online sales in May were 50% higher over April. It was the ever highest online sale being achieved during a pandemic. Yes, of course, we did spend a lot more, so I'm not going to deny that. But the point is that we really worked hard and we really kind of pushed all channels of reaching the customer to get this sale. And when we opened for dine-in, I'm very happy to say first week figures show that high street dining at this restaurant was at 50% occupancy with a high number of loyal customers who, were greeted by the staff who knows them by name. And we actually on the first 2 days gifted everybody a small chocolate box as a welcome back gift, which was very warmly received. So the point here is recast your product portfolio. You had a product which was a supplementary product, and today that product became a core as far as sales became in the pandemic. So, look at your complete product range, see what is fitting at this time in the customer's need. You could have kept pushing the cakes, but there was only that much cake somebody could eat. So what do you do? So we really focused on the customer with the existing resources, and we were quick to get it into the market. I think the agility played a big role, and that is something we need to strive at in the pandemic. Yeah. But can one stumble? So I saw this campaign of a very iconic brand, a brand which I use, my entire family uses. I think a lot of my friends are also very loyal to this brand. And it really set me thinking that can the panic of the pandemic also make people stumble? I am not privy to any of their sales figures or sales performance. So this is just my pure analysis of their communication and what I feel was missing in it, and how I would have done if I was the marketing head for this brand. So the brand I'm talking of is Levi's. It's an iconic denim brand, and their work from home communication, their emailers is exactly what I have shared. It's we'll keep this short. There is a shot of somebody in jeans, in t-shirts, in casual wear, in shorts, also quite literally in line with the heading of we'll keep this short. I'll tell you why I found it wrong. I mean, today work from home wear is equal to waist top dressing, as the new term is. It's the new norm of video call dressing. So there is a lot of focus on the shirt you wear, on probably the dress you wear, the salwar kameez you wear. But that doesn't mean that people are not wearing bottom wear. And denim jeans are nothing but bottom wear. So while bottom wear may not be seen, the wearer's need for comfort in his overall dressing is high. And if you need to wear something to look good on the waist top dressing, why not the bottom? Denims have always stood for comfort, all day comfort, being equivalent, to Friday dressing. So I feel the brand missed on capitalizing, saying, be comfortable all day while you work from home with your Levi's denim. Yeah. So I feel what they should have done is reposition their core products. Probably they got too taken in by the work from home wear and the focus on waist top dressing. And a brand which is not known necessarily for its shirts and t-shirts was suddenly trying to waist top dressing when they should have actually continued focusing. And I'm sure since the pandemic happened in summer, they would have come up with, a lighter range of denim, or, they have earlier even done jogger jeans and, athleisure denim. So perhaps those products could have come back and become the focus, because your customer is dressed top to bottom. And, you need to kind of serve the needs. So this is my view, and I'll be very happy to debate this in the Q&A if anybody kind of wants to discuss it further with me. So what I'm just trying to say is, don't try to be everything at the time. While it's essential to look at options, if your core is still fitting in the customer's need, don't give up on the core product so fast as Levi's, in my opinion, did. Yeah. So what does it really take? How do you really reinvent and re-engineer? This is something I think a CFO would do much better than me, but the reality is we need to relook at costs, we need to rationalize. The new normal isn't easy. Do take your tough calls. I'm not here to tell you that you need to shut and resize stores or resize staff or reduce staff costs, renegotiate. These all are basics. So first complete these basics before you go on to re-engineering your brand and marketing strategy. What do we really need to do? Coming to what the core of this presentation is, that first, the urge to survive and revive. There is a lot of panic. I speak to a lot of brand people and they are struggling to understand. So first, let's be ready and let's have the urge to survive and revive. I remember it was very painful to hear a retail industry stalwart talk in a webinar in mid-April about how he's getting calls of brands wanting to sell out. I can imagine it's not an easy decision for the person who wants to sell, but if you decide to survive and revive, it's going to help you survive and revive. So get your mindset in the right place is my first advice. The next is, like we saw in the Levi's example, what is your brand core? What does your brand do for the customer? What does the customer now want from it? So if customers like your jeans and they all still want comfort, your jeans can be focusing on the comfort aspect rather than the fashion aspect or the wash aspect. And how far can you go from the brand core? Do you suddenly want to start talking waist top dressing when you have been a bottom dressing brand? It's not so easy to do that. So you have to handle it with care. Re-looking at your customer's need, understand the way the customer has changed the approach to your product or category. How does your brand now fit in? So for example, if you are delivering, can you actually deliver, like Wow Momos did a Wow Essential, what is your real customer need? If your customer right now wants brands, should you be kind of, breads? Should you not be focusing on breads versus cakes? That's what we are talking of. Any challenges? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Next is the willingness to adapt. I think in the brand which I was talking of, the Smoor bakery brand, agility is key. And how ready are you to, give up your legacy approach and take products that no longer fit in? I'm sure brands like Unilever have quickly changed their production cycles to more of personal care in terms of hand wash, soaps, sanitizers, and, probably change the pipeline, production pipeline internally. So agility is very important, however large or small you are. So how fast can you do? Can you, visit with your vendors on how faster they can supply? Can you see how your factory can realign to the products that you want? How does your delivery channel reach the person fastest? It is the, agility becomes extremely key, I feel, in a pandemic time. Yeah. And continue to reinvent. It's not the time to stop trying new things. It's a time to do new things, to do it differently. I'm waiting for Body Shop to come up with those, 2-gram trial sachets or, a spray, so that I can continue buying more than the product I went for, so that I can buy a new fragrance. I can, try the summer collection. I don't want to just stick to my strawberry and orange anymore. There is no old normal. There is only a new normal, and it's here to stay. So let's kind of really push on that, adapt the customer journey, relay the route. I mean, how is the customer now going to visit? 1 week of malls being open, we have seen a very purposeful shopper go. He says, I walk into the parking lot, I go to the store I want to buy. He's not browsing around. Either he gets it at that store or he walks out. So if that is the customer journey, how much more can you enhance it? Can you ensure, if you're a shopping center owner, that your retailer has the right product, so that the customer who's now giving the patronage and taking the risk of coming outside be rewarded with the right product, and you are rewarded with the right sale? So really relook at that and see what you can do. Digitization has a big role in this. We've seen a lot of great videos of, shopping centers actually changing the customer journey, how every third step of the escalator is being used, how often things are sanitized, how the trial room has changed, how the, wearing of footwear has changed. So there is a lot of digitization and change in the way customers are being done. I went to my old brand Vision Express to buy spectacles, which I needed. And it was a very different experience where, you couldn't pick up the frames. There was somebody to help you do that. But it was equally encouraging to see that after I finished my purchase, the spectacles I had tried were sanitized in front of me and, put back. So even the other customers knew that when they are trying something, they are trying a safe pair of spectacles. So can you make these efforts visible also, and, communicating directly to the customers? Today, customers are understanding this and looking for it. Reward your customers. When the customers are coming back, loosen up and see how you can give them better. Can you give them a welcome back discount? Can you give them something extra? Can you promise to kind of, deliver to their home if they have a lot of stuff? And of course, if they are willing to, allow people, more visitors to their house. So open up and be reward. Be transparent in your approach. Last week, again, there was a lot of discussion about the natural salons chain, where they were levying a 150 rupee convenience and sanitization fee on every bill. I feel where the brand went wrong was in perhaps not communicating to the customers why they are doing it. For those of you, who are not from the South, Naturals is a chain which is a value salon chain. So I'm assuming their margins are much lesser than, say, bigger chains like a Bounce or, Juice or chains of that kind. And today, when, you have to sanitize, you have to reduce the occupancy in your salon. You cannot have 5 customers sitting next to each other for a haircut. You probably have 2 instead of 5 at any given point in time. You're having to probably throw away the, material used for a pedicure or a manicure. Your staff is wearing PPE, your customer is wearing PPE, it costs money. I would think that it's actually a plus. And if I was the Naturals, marketing person, I would have shown that we are taking care of you, and hence some cost we are bearing and balance we are asking you. To me, it was a very positive step and affirmation of the guys actually not reusing and keeping the environment safe for me. But for some reason, it was not communicated right, and there was a lot of hoo-ha on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook of them saying, how dare they charge us this 150. But I feel it's just a question of bad communication and not really conveying it right. Their intent was right. To me, it could have been a plus, saying, yes, because we are throwing away that PPE kit, we request you to bear some cost of it, and got the customer more to their side, right, than against. So which brings up the topic of how well are you actually communicating it, and focus on communicating it right. And that's how I think maybe we can start re-engineering. I'm happy to look at questions now. Sorry, I hope I wasn't too fast.
No.
No, you went fast. So this Levi's case, what you have shared,
Yeah.
simultaneously there are a couple of other campaigns were also about 501 Day at Home. I suppose you might have heard 501 Day. They have done some kind of a music concert, and then they have shared their signature stitching of Levi's 501. You know, that was a good side
Okay.
what I have seen. You know, Levi by Levi's, and this was actually on CNBC also.
Okay.
So, yeah, the communication maybe one
Yeah.
or two they have gone wrong, showing the pants and everything. But yes, they picked up their concept Levi's 501 and they picked up the 501 into different activations they've done digitally. So that's a beauty thing. So
Maybe I was not there TG and I missed it.
about this natural salon. So what do you suggest is you go for the safety and but also charge more is what the strategy you suggesting. That's what.
I am saying that as a retailer who has handled a P&L, I understand why a value chain like Naturals needs to charge for this service. Okay, maybe all salons are not charging right now, so they are the only one charging. The way I would have handled it is saying that I am confirming to you that you are safe and your safety kit is coming at 150 rupees, and which is why I'm billing you. And it's something they should have told the customer before billing, before offering the service. Perhaps customers have not liked this because they have said, okay, I've come for an 800 rupees haircut, why is my bill 950? So I feel it was a gap in communication. To me, it could have actually been, used to your advantage, where you say, here is your safety kit, it's going to cost you 150. And, we are a value chain. We offer our services at much lower price, and hence we need you to take part of it. Maybe it could have also been made to look, this costs us 200 and we are charging you 100 or 150. Participate, get the customer participated. And perhaps it should have also been an option, Ola, Uber, Dunzo today. If you try to do a Dunzo, they are asking you, do you want to give a tip? And they are doing it very cutely. They are showing a biscuit and saying 10 rupees for biscuit, 20 rupees for biscuit and chai, 30 rupees for him to have lunch. So it's an opt-in option, and it's also something the customer is aware of. The unaware is what has kind of backfired for them, I feel.
Okay, cool. That's nice. Priya has a question for you. Priya, I can unmute you. You can talk, please.
Yeah. Yes. Jermina,
Hi,
I was, and good evening to all. I see a lot of brands, because you want to talk to the consumer. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're also getting it wrong. Like I remember I commented on the Kent bread maker or atta maker that they had launched. And,
Yeah.
they get it so wrong because they've showed that, maybe because your house help has corona and you're trying to protect, the sensibility of that can go wrong sometimes. I just saw the Santur ad on LinkedIn, somebody has commented. So suddenly you're trying to get your act together and you're not very, very sure. And maybe Levi's was, you picked up something because you saw it. I think you should dwell on that, because you can just go so horribly wrong at this point of time. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely right. Kent is the perfect example. And to be honest, Kent would be wrong even during a non-pandemic. Today, when you're talking of equality and, the whole racism is raising its head and being kind of talked about. So Kent ad, let's be clear, would have been wrong at any point in time. And which is what I said, let's not use fear as an emotion. People are already scared, and then you're saying, don't do this, it will make you, get more, possibly, expose you to the virus. If you do that, it's going to expose you to the virus. Santur is another fantastic example, a soap which is known for skincare. It was also actually about, making you look younger, and that's been its legacy for 30 years. It's a nice move to say, use this soap, but they could have handled it with another problem which came up, with the frequent washing, the frequent washing of vessels, something that most housewives were not doing earlier. It was left to the house help. And also the frequent sanitization. All of us have much drier hands than the pre-pandemic days. So they could have actually used their skincare and said, this soap is also good for your skin at this point in time. Your hand skin, not your facial skin. And, helps you moisturize, or now we've added extra moisturizer. So again, it's something they have done very fast and gone away from their core. So if their core is about skincare and younger looking skin, I think today people want younger looking hands, and they could have easily dovetailed that. So like I said, the panic mode, you're probably making a few wrong calls.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, please, any more questions?
Somebody is blowing kisses at you. So
yes, that's Vanita. Hi, Vanita.
She wants to talk 1 second.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see you after such a long time.
Hi, so nice to see you too.
Yeah, Ashish, do you have any question?
Hi.
1 sec. Ashish, do you have any question? Anybody? No, okay. Any more?
Jermina, I think if you could dwell on this,
Voice thing.
you can I ask a question, Suresh? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you
Go ahead,
spoke about this premium gourmet bakery store, right? And
yeah, it's a Bangalore brand called Smoor.
Absolutely. So you spoke about identifying a need, which was, and I think that is something that if you could spell on, because I think that there is a point out there which brands need to, really keep in mind right now, which I think is very, very important, rather than saying, I can make this, right? And this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it's a premium luxury cake and chocolate brand. The cakes go upwards of 2,000 a kg. A single piece of chocolate is approximately 85-90 rupees a piece. So it's always been about luxury, and luxury, you also give it with the experience. So the cafe was important. And of course, cakes become a bakery product. So they always had breads on the side. Like I mentioned, it was always like a, something little more complementary to the production facility that they had. So we initially did the community outreach campaign. The menu card had a lot more of chocolates and very limited breads. But we obviously saw that there was a high demand for breads. And which is where we quickly ramped up production. And because we always had recipes, but somehow they were never used, we were even able to ramp up the range. So I will send you privately the difference between the first two menus. The first menu had 70% cakes and chocolates, and the next menu had actually 30% cakes and chocolates. We had a lot more of breads, we had tea cakes, we had muffins. So it was a lot of snacking was happening, which is where the tea cakes and muffins took off. People were doing a lot more of, quick sandwich lunches, pizza dinners, and that is what was really helping it. And the minute we analyzed the sale and we said, hey, people are not using sandwich bread, but they are actually using it as a main meal, is when we revamped and we said, now can I get this pizza guy to, buy a pizza sauce and a pizza topping? Can the sourdough guy get a pesto or a mayo from me? And, suddenly the 200 rupee bill is 400, or a 50 rupee pizza bill has become 150 rupees because you're charging 100 rupees for the pasta sauce. And that's how we really revamped. And that was one of the main reasons why we also went to a 50% growth between April and May. And the June numbers are continuing to look promising. Now it's become like a core product. We are doing a review of how do you do the Q3, and these products are going to be there on the menu forever now, and possibly keep getting more and more variants too. So agility was very important. The fact that you were willing to look at it is very important.
the reason for the question is because it's a luxury thing, and sometimes we think that luxury guys are going to get like completely chewed. I think the thing is how to closely watch your consumer, right? And I think there was a lesson out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jermina, there is one question from Abhishek Laha. I hope you can see the question. Can you, or you want me to read it out?
Yeah, my question is, how can industries like building materials, cement, ceramic deal this situation? Can you please give an example? Yes, so I think we may not necessarily be able to apply these principles to all industries, because you possibly have, if you're a B2B seller now to real estate, you will have to wait for the real estate demand to fructify. And if that is the case, you may want to look at a B2C segment of customer and see how you can now supply to these customers. What's also happened in the lockdown is people are dealing with things like leakages. Maybe they wanted to paint their house in summer, it's not happening. So can you start making attractive packages? Can you start selling more of paints which are healthy, paints which have got more bacteria resistance, etc. A lot of paint brands have that. So you will probably need to look at that. I'm not sure if I've answered this question right. Kunal also has a question. Though travel as a sector is completely gone, any pointers for those who are willing to survive and stretch, re-engineer their ways? Yes, there are some sectors which are going to take longer to revive. Definitely travel industry falls in that. And I think there are two aspects. One, the airport industry, I should have put this example in my presentation. The airline industry rather has been faster to respond. A lot of the aircrafts were converted into cargo because there was a huge movement of cargo with the supply chain initiatives. In fact, cargo industry professional told me how the cargo industry has possibly done its best numbers in the months of March and April 2020. So all is not lost. So it is a question again of redeploying your resources. And I think if any of us were earlier on Indigo or SpiceJet, we would have got a lot of mailers. Even yesterday there was so can you charter flights with Indigo? SpiceJet had converted to cargo and say you need to reach your products faster, because they know that the people traveling with them in normal circumstances are business guys. So that is why they have done that. Local travel is coming back. International travel is going to take a long time. Europe has shown that people are willing to travel to a city 2 hours away for the long weekends. Memorial Day weekend in US had Airbnb do some decent business with people traveling within the state where they felt their state was safe, but to a different location. So it's definitely slow, and it will take some time, but can you bring these experiences virtually, or can you lock in customers for future, trips? A lot of hotels today are offering you that you book a space till 30th June. We are giving you a highly concessional rate, and you can use it up to 30th June 2021. So Ritz-Carlton Bangalore had come out with a very interesting promotion of that kind. So you will need to redo. 5-star hotels are doing gourmet meals at home. They are doing laundry at home. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer, Kunal? The next question is from my experts, Gurpreet. What is your take on high street versus mall? Earlier we thought we want to. I am a strong proponent of the fact that the government has actually done more harm to the malls than it's done to high street retails. I have been very vocal about it in my tweets and in my LinkedIn posts. I think by delaying the opening of malls and closing the malls before they close the high streets, government has indirectly sent a very wrong message of malls being unsafe. And as an ex-shopping center practitioner, I can tell you they can't be further away from the truth. Malls have very strict guidelines. They ensure the guidelines are made, premises are sanitized. I mean, at any given point of time in good old days, a commercial street in Bangalore or a linking road in Mumbai would have the total footfall of the top 5 malls of the city. And you are saying that the
You're not audible. Urvi, can you hear?